And these make really good storage containers if you're the kind of person that's gonna remove the label and wash it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mindy and I have lost about 125 pounds using GLP medications as a tool. And this week we're talking about a subject that's a bone of contention amongst mothers and wives of picky husbands around the world. Speaking of picky husbands, if you're anything like me, you struggle getting in enough veg in your life. I try to fit it in as many places as I can, and my struggles are compacted, impacted, increased, whatever, by the fact that I have a husband that refuses to eat anything green or resembling a vegetable of any kind. So this week, I'm gonna show you how to hide some veg in your food. If you have a veggie hater in your life, or if you're a veggie hater yourself, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get to hiding some veg. Weather in Texas has been a little bipolar lately. The week before last, we were in the 20s. Last week, we were in the 80s. And this week, we're back down into the 40s again. So soup season is not over yet. I'm not over it. And I'm ready to have some delicious, comforting, warm, hearty soup. A long time ago on this channel, I shared a chicken corn chowder recipe with bacon with you guys that I absolutely love. And it hides an entire head of cauliflower. I will make sure to link that video down in the description because it is one of my absolute favorite soups of all time, and my husband loves it. He has no idea that there's an entire head of cauliflower hiding in there, and if he did know, he wouldn't eat it just out of spite, regardless of the fact that he loves how it tastes. So I'm gonna take that same concept and we're gonna use it to make a bacon cheeseburger soup this week that I am real excited about. We're actually gonna do this one in an Instant Pot, slow cooker, what have you, just to make my life a little easier. I would have meal prepped this yesterday, but my husband was home. So there was no way I was hiding the fact that there was a head of cauliflower going in there. I'm gonna get my Instant Pot out, get everything set up, and then I'll meet you back here in a second. Ritz here. Was I not recording that whole time? So I just realized I've been talking to you guys for like the last 5 minutes and I didn't have this camera recording. My overhead camera was recording, so that's good. I'm a professional. Anyway, pretty much all you missed is the fact that I have started browning up 6 ounces of center cut bacon in this pan. This is a multi-cooker. Mine is a Zaver. It's the same thing as an Instant Pot. This was the one that America's Test Kitchen rated, like had the highest rated multi-cooker for the long time, which is why I bought it. And I've had it for 7 years, something like that. If you don't have a multi-cooker, you can just brown stuff off in a pan and throw it in your slow cooker, but that's why I like using a multi-cooker, because I don't want to have to wash multiple dishes. Because if you're new here, hi, my name is Mindy and I'm lazy. If you do not have one of these little strainer baskets, I highly recommend them. This is how we're gonna make our lives much easier for the next couple of days with hiding vegetables, because pretty much the way you hide vegetables is to blend them. All of my ingredients that I'm going to blend are gonna go inside this little strainer, so it'll get to cook in the juices and everything, but then when it comes time to blend them, I can just take them out in the basket and throw them in the blender instead of having to fish them out manually. So not a necessity, but very, very nice to have. I will link it down in the description below. My bacon is cooking and burning on the bottom, which is always amazing. I do use center cut bacon to save myself on some calories. It's a little lower in fat, has a little more meat on it. That helps me out with the calorie count. I'm just gonna take all my veggies and I'm gonna cut them into big chunks because I'm gonna blend it anyway. So this is 1 carrot that I'm just gonna cut and I'm gonna throw it in my basket. I have 2 pounds of ground beef in here. We're only gonna be using 1 pound for this recipe. Measure out 1 pound of ground beef and I'm gonna put it in here and get it to start cooking. And yes, I'm using my hands. If that offends your delicate sensibilities, look away. Put the rest of this back in the fridge and wash my hands. I'm gonna use my little, this thing, my mix and chop. And no, I'm not taking the bacon out. I'm not worried about it. So I'm gonna distribute this pound of ground beef. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot for cheeseburger soup. Honestly, I think it'll be plenty. And obviously you could use ground turkey if you want. Lean ground meat, pound for pound. Beef, as opposed to turkey, actually has more protein. I'm gonna let that do its thing, and I'm gonna add some seasoning. Just half a teaspoon of salt, some black pepper. Beef and black pepper is best friends, so I'm gonna add quite a bit. That corn chowder recipe that I love so much has a little bit of turmeric in it, and I think it's delicious, so I'm gonna add that to this. And turmeric has fantastic anti-inflammatory benefits. Just a quarter of a teaspoon. Get up those bacon drippings on the bottom there and break up that meat really good. And I'm also gonna add some garlic to the beef. I'm gonna mince that up. The more you smush them, the easier they mince. So I try to smack the crap out of them. But you could easily just throw these in with the other veg you're planning on blending, and you wouldn't even need to chop them up at all. That smells good. I'm just gonna turn off the saute function and let that hang out while I cut up the rest of my veg. In my basket, I'm gonna put a whole yellow onion. I'm gonna cut each half into like, I don't know, that size pieces in the bowl. The other thing that we are going to put in our little steamer basket is an entire head of cauliflower. This is the tiniest head of cauliflower I've ever seen. We only need 12 ounces. This is a little bit more than that. I mean, I'm okay with that. Normally I put a much larger head of cauliflower into the corn chowder that I mentioned, so I'm not at all worried about being able to taste this. Like once it cooks down, it just makes it thick and creamy and delicious. So I'm gonna cut this into wedges. Just gonna put it in the basket like that. And because this is a fine mesh basket, I can put all these tiny pieces in here and not worry about them giving away my secret. Whereas if I was trying to pick them out, they would probably still be in there and my husband would find them, let me tell you. The last thing that I am putting in here is some gold potatoes. This is about 12 ounces or 4 very small yellow potatoes. You could use white potatoes. These were just on sale. They're baby gold potatoes. And I'm gonna cut them up into a tiny dice because these are not going to get blended. And you'll be surprised once you dice this up how much potato that is actually. All right. And I forgot something that I really should have done before I put these potatoes in, but that's okay. I'm gonna put my saute thing back on. We're going to make a bit of a roux to help thicken up the soup, and I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And if you're gluten-free, you could always just do a cornstarch slurry at the end. I'm just gonna stir that around, give that flour time to cook out a little bit and brown up. It's gonna develop some more fond on the bottom of the pan, which is just more flavor. In the meantime, I'm gonna get 4 cups of water for my chicken stock because I use Better Than Bouillon instead of chicken broth. But if you're using just regular chicken broth, this is where you would use the chicken broth. Okay. So to make the Better Than Bouillon part, I'm just gonna add in 4 teaspoons of the Better Than Bouillon chicken base. I get the low sodium one and I buy these from Costco because they are significantly cheaper that way. I think it's like $6, $6 to $8 for this entire container, and it makes 100 cups of broth. And it tastes way better. So now I'm gonna pour in my water and scrape as I go to get all that goodness off the bottom of the pan. So got all those goodies scraped. Pour in the rest of my water. I'm just gonna lower in my little basket, kind of nestle it in so that everybody gets down in the goodies. And then I'm gonna put my lid on. And you could just slow cook this, like put it on low, let it go for like 4 or 5 hours. I'd have to get this blended before my husband gets home or else the jig is up. So I'm gonna pressure cook this I'm gonna switch that to pressure. I'm gonna do 30 minutes on high. That's gonna go. We'll take the veggies out, blend them up, throw them in there, and then I'll see you guys back in a bit. This is still pressure cooking, but I figured I would kind of let you guys know exactly what the plan is going forward. Once this is done pressure cooking, I'm gonna release the pressure, and then I will be taking all of the veggies out of the steamer basket and throwing it into my blender cup. You could use an immersion blender, but again, I don't want to blend up the ground beef and the bacon and the, you know, all that. That sounds weird to me. So we're just going to be doing it in the blender. You could also use your food processor. You could use a magic bullet. You could use nothing, but this is what I have. So I'm going to put it in my Vitamix, and I'm going to add just a little bit of broth from the soup in there with it so that I'll get it really, really nice and smooth. And then I'm gonna pour that back into the ground beef, potato, bacon mixture. And I'm gonna leave that on low for a good 4 to 6 hours. And then when I come home tonight, I'm gonna add in 1.5 cups of high protein whole milk. You could use fat-free half and half. You could use heavy whipping cream. Whatever you have room for in your macros, you just go ahead and use that. If you don't want to use any milk, you don't have to. The good thing about the high protein milk is that it is lactose free. So if you have issues with dairy, that's a good option to use, and it's got more protein in it. I'm also going to shred up 4 ounces of the New York white extra sharp cheddar, and I'm gonna stir that in at the end. And then I'm just gonna give the milk and the cheese time to melt and heat through, and then we're gonna eat. I'm gonna serve it with a little bit of green onion on top, and it should be super delicious. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I will see you guys tonight for a taste test. Okay guys, man, this soup smells real good. Like my whole house smells good. I attempted to record me adding the cheese and the milk to this when I got home. Set up the camera, did all the things. Thought I hit the record button, but no, I didn't. No recording. We'll see how it tastes. Bacony, burgery, cheesy. Those potatoes are super soft and happy. It just tastes like cheeseburger soup. Richard says it's delicious. I made this entire recipe for 6 servings, but once again, I underestimated how much soup it would make. So for the bowl that I made, which was, I mean, a very full bowl of soup, it was about 398 grams, so just shy of 400 grams, 391 calories, 33 grams of protein, 22 grams of carb, 20 grams of fat, 3.14 grams of fiber, 33% protein. It was very nice and thick before I added the milk. When I added the milk, it got a little thinner, but I liked the flavor that the milk added. And so, I mean, you could add a little cornstarch slurry to it if you wanted it to be thicker, but I think it's delicious just as it is. It would be really good with like a sourdough roll or like a piece of garlic bread or something like that. And with that amount of calories, like, you could definitely handle it. Anyway, I hope you guys give this recipe a shot. Super delicious, crowd pleasing yumminess. I'll see you guys tomorrow for some spaghetti and meatballs. Well, good morning on this superbly rainy day. It is Tuesday, and it's time for another dinner full of hidden vegetables. Last night, Richard loved the soup. He had no idea that there was an entire head of cauliflower and carrots and all that good stuff in there. He was clueless, which is exactly how I like it when it comes to veg. And today we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna do it with spaghetti and meatballs. So I know I've seen a lot of people hide spinach in their tomato sauce, but here's the thing, my husband can see those green flecks and he will be suspicious. So I can't really do anything green in my sauce. I mean, I guess I could try to pawn it off on like Italian seasoning or basil or something like that, but I wouldn't be able to do a significant enough amount without it starting to taste like spinach. To me, spinach has a very distinct flavor and it's not one that's easily hidden. So today I'm again going to be making use of my slow cooker because I think I mentioned to y'all my work schedule has recently changed and I'm now working until close pretty much every day. So I don't even get off work until 5:30 tonight. If I didn't start this process until I got home, first of all, my husband, there's no way he wouldn't notice me blending a bunch of vegetables into the sauce. And secondly, we wouldn't be eating until, you know, 6:30, which is just too late for me. Yeah, not a thing. So the veggies we're gonna be hiding in the sauce today are some carrots, some onions, and some yellow squash. You could literally do whatever kind of veggies you want. Oh, the salad is not. This is more of a method than a recipe. I will link the recipe that I found down below, but again, I just used it as a guideline because it's just gonna be what you want. Like she said, you could use eggplant. I actually like eggplant. I think it's delicious, but I think that that's probably a little too distinct of a flavor to go undetected by my husband. I'm gonna be using another pound of ground beef. A really good adding flavor hack would be to use like a turkey Italian sausage. So that would add a lot more flavor to it. I just happen to have the ground beef because I bought a 10-pound tube of it at Costco this weekend. I'm also gonna be trying these Italian style chicken meatballs that I found at Target last week. The macros on these are immaculate. For 4 meatballs, which is about what we will have per serving, it's 140 calories with 14 grams of protein. So these are 40% protein as opposed to a beef and pork meatball, which is gonna have a lot more fat and a lot less protein. So these will be going in as well, but not until after my sauce has had a chance to cook and I have all of the things blended. So I'm gonna start actually with browning my ground beef. I feel like it'll add more flavor that I can cook my veggies in. So I'm gonna start by heating up the brown setting in my multi-cooker thing. What's this thing called? You know, your Instant Pot, multi-cooker, whatever. So I'm gonna start that heating up and I'm just gonna spray a little bit of avocado oil spray in here. And then I'm gonna dump in a pound of ground beef, ground turkey, turkey sausage, pork sausage. You can do whatever you want. It's your kitchen. That's the awesome part about cooking at home. You're in control. You are in charge of your dinner. So it's starting to sizzle a bit. So I'm gonna spread the meat out first. Sprinkle a little salt, a little red pep, little Italian seasoning, a little black pepper. A little MSG just for funsies. I'm gonna break this up. And I'm gonna let that go until the beef is all crumbly and nice. And in the meantime, I'm gonna cut up my veggies. I'm gonna leave the skins on and everything. You could peel these, that would be fine. I'm contemplating whether or not I wanna take the seeds out of the squash because I know those can get quite watery, but I think I'm gonna be okay. It'd be fine. Just gonna cut off the little stem nubbin. Cut this in half. See, those are the seeds you could go ahead and pick out. Oh, you can't see. You can't see a dang thing because you are all steamed up. I'm gonna add something. I don't know why this just popped into my brain, but I'm gonna add a little Worcestershire sauce in here. A little Worcestershire sauce. Just gonna add a couple dashes. Come on. I don't know, teaspoon or so, half a teaspoon, something like that. Just a couple of, you know, like that. Let me try wiping you guys off. I moved the camera further away thinking that would help, but no. Okay, so I cut these in half. I'm gonna cut them in quarters and then slice them. I'll keep trying to make that happen. I'm gonna turn off that brown setting and let that cool down. Try putting a little fan over here. There we go. Sure, why not? Take this ground beef out because next I'm gonna cook the veggies and I don't wanna blend the ground beef because blended ground beef sounds like a terrible idea. Cut this squash in half again, so quarters. Gonna slice these up. Do the same thing, just cut the ends off my carrot. And just cut them up into chunks. I'm not trying to get fancy with it because they're just gonna cook in the pressure cooker for about 30 minutes. The same thing with the onion, just cut it into chunks. It's the nice thing about blending everything. You don't gotta get real fussy about chopping. Saves you more time. So the sauce itself will be slow cooking all day. I'm gonna actually get a pot of water on the stove ready so that when I get off work, I can just have Richard turn it on to high so that hopefully the water will already be boiling when I get home. And all I'll need to do is just add some parm and another cup of high protein whole milk to make this a little creamy, because we like a creamy tomato sauce, not just like a full-on tomato sauce. Cook the pasta. It should come together in about like 15 minutes, maybe a little bit less depending on how long the pasta takes to cook. I'm gonna be using a high protein pasta. I like the Barilla one. I mean, pasta in and of itself is fairly high protein anyway. I buy it when it goes on sale, and it does have a little extra protein in it. I'm gonna add quite a lot of garlic. I have like the rest of a head here that's seen better days. I'm probably just gonna add the rest of it. And again, these are going in with the blended veg, so I'm not really worried about anything except for peeling them. And then I'm gonna cut off the little root ends because these ones are really dry. I don't know why I'm not using my little garlic peeler for this. It would be so much faster, but I've committed. It's too late. I'm gonna turn that browning function back on. I'm just gonna use the same seasonings that I used with my, what's this? You know, with the beef. So I'm just gonna season as I go. That's how you make everything taste good. Little red pepper flakes. I feel like there was enough Italian seasoning in the beef, so I'm not gonna bother with that. And then some pepper, a little more MSG. Why not? I'm gonna just stir these around a bit. And then I'm gonna need a cup of chicken broth, or in my case, a cup of water and a teaspoon of better than bouillon. Put my lid on, put it to pressure, and I'm gonna pressure cook it on high. And I want it to be obliterated. Like, I want it to be super duper soft so that we can blend it as smooth as possible and it incorporates into that sauce seamlessly. I'm gonna let this go for 30 minutes. And then I'll see you guys back here so that we can blend that veg and put the rest of the ingredients in to get the sauce underway. This has been cooking for 30 minutes. Hot! Don't touch metal when it's hot, okay? It's a little safety tip from me to you. That includes that bowl, guys. All right, so I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna pour it into my blender. Maybe. Hopefully without burning myself. Sorry guys, I don't know how to do this without it being in your face. I'm gonna put the lid on here so that I don't burn the schnoz out of myself. I'm gonna turn it on. I'm real curious about what this tastes like. This is a job for tiny spoon. Oh yeah, that's smooth. Oh, that's tasty. Oh, that's tasty. Okay, I'm really excited about this sauce all of a sudden, guys. All right, so I'm just gonna pour this in here. So if you're just looking for a simple like side dish, that would make a delicious soup all by itself. Just so you know. I'm gonna pour that ground beef back in there. A 24-ounce jar of marinara sauce of choice. I know a lot of people like Rayo, whatever. However you pronounce that sauce, that $1 million spaghetti sauce that everybody seems to love. But you know what? HEB Organics has this garlic lovers. This entire thing is like less than $2 usually. And no sugar, 60 calories per half cup, 2 grams of protein. No added sugar. Yeah. And I'm gonna dump this whole thing of pasta sauce. This is a garlic lovers one. They also have a tomato basil one that's delicious. So if you live in an area with an HEB and you haven't tried these pasta sauces, you're missing out. I make tomato soup with these sometimes, like a cheater tomato soup. Just like a jar of this with some blended cottage cheese or some high protein milk. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And these make really good storage containers if you're the kind of person that's gonna remove the label and wash it. All right, so I'm gonna stir that up. Oh yeah, yep. That's delicious. Also a delicious soup. So if you don't want to add the pasta, just stop there or add the meatballs. I'm going to dump in my chicken meatballs. One meatball. Has anybody ever seen that skit? It's like this super old video. It's hilarious. I don't know if it's from a movie or what it's from, but my nephews showed it to me years ago. And it's this guy singing this song. He's like going into a restaurant and he's ordering one meatball and the waiter is telling him, you get no bread with one meatball. You get no bread with one meatball. Anyway, it's funny and it makes me giggle. Oh, those smell delicious. This is what those little chicken meatballs look like. I'm just gonna dump the whole bag in. I'm gonna put this on low for like 2 to 4 hours and then it'll just sit and be warm until dinner time. Delicious. Y'all, I might like this better than the spaghetti sauce that I normally make. It's so good. All the extra flavor that made. I was worried about the seeds and it making it too wet or weird, but like that feels like the perfect consistency for pasta sauce for me. I'll see you guys tonight to throw together the rest and give it a taste. And we'll see if my hubby was able to figure out that there's a whole bunch of veggies in this sucker. Nice. Y'all, when I got home from work, the smell in this house. Richard says the sauce is really good. And I have to admit, like, I tasted it for seasoning and I think this is some of the best tomato sauce I've ever made. Like, no joke. So let's give it a taste. I gave him the choice of bow ties or spaghetti and he wanted bow ties, so that's what we got instead of spaghetti. Y'all, that Barilla protein pasta, so good. I can't stand the Bonza pasta. It's too, I don't know, weird. Let's taste one of these chicken meatballs, shall we? I can tell you like the texture of them, like just putting them in the bowl and stuff like that is like super soft. Oh, those are tasty. Really well seasoned, not dry at all. Very soft. It is very saucy, but I know from experience with this protein pasta, like it soaks up sauce when it sits in it. So like with leftovers and stuff, if I don't make it real saucy to start with, it'll get dry and gross and weird. So it's a little saucy in the beginning, but honestly, I would eat that sauce as soup. It's real good. Okay, I'm gonna eat this. First, I'm gonna tell you the macros. I weighed everything out. It's a 430-gram bowl of pasta and sauce. And that's with 4 meatballs. That includes the 4 meatballs. 485 calories, 39 grams of protein, 51 grams of carbs, 15 grams of fat. And for those of you tracking fiber, 6.95 grams of fiber. So almost 7 grams of fiber. 32% protein. That's pretty darn good. Everything came together in like 10 minutes, basically the time it took to boil the pasta. I'm going to very much enjoy eating this. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some good ideas for some healthy dinners. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks as always to my Buy Me a Coffee members for your constant support and love. And that's it for this week. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better without what's been holding us back now.